The other day, I was reading an IO9 post about the Game of Thrones TV producers' response to complaints over a rape last season. By the way, trigger warning, I'm going to be talking a little bit about rape, and spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what happened on last season's Game of Thrones. So last season, when the episode of Game of Thrones aired in which Sansa is raped horribly, I wrote a bit about the problem I had with it. It wasn't that a female character is raped. Game of Thrones presents a horrific world where horrific things happen to pretty much all of the characters. And it's especially hard on the women because it's a very patriarchal society. And that's one of the things I kind of enjoy about both the books and the show, is seeing the different ways that different female characters respond to this horrible world, whether they succeed or fail and how they do it, from Cersei's unapologetic scheming to Kat figuring out how to be a strong mother. So my problem with Sansa's rape in the TV show is actually just that it didn't serve her character's arc at all. In the show, she has become an object who is victimized again and again and only serves to further other characters' story arcs. Meanwhile, at this point in the books, Sansa has my favorite character arc of all. She goes from being basically an object, someone who is happy to be an object, who dreams about princes saving her, to realizing that nobody's going to save her and that she needs to figure shit out for herself. And she starts learning from Littlefinger particularly, and she uses her cleverness to keep her marginally safe, or as safe as she can. In a way, she's becoming a better Littlefinger. And it's way more interesting than the show's version of Sansa gets abused again, news at 11. So yeah, the TV producers say that they're taking into account all of the criticism and that they're going to do something about it. They don't say how, though, but I'm really hoping that they're talking about getting Sansa's story arc moving in a more interesting way, something more similar to what's happening in the books. Back to the IO9 article, after reading through it, I read the top comment. I know, rookie mistake, but sometimes I just have to. And this is what it was. Is the trigger warning in print here to stay? Will every grown-up and hard-to-discuss or accept thing now be self-censored and forewarned and cut out in the future to suit the selfish purview of the vocal minority? Do the millennials get to force a world upon us where we pretend nothing hurts their feelings ever and they are perfectly safe from how real adult life really is? We're doomed if so. I was really confused what that comment referred to, so I scrolled back up and reread the article and noticed one sentence near the beginning, in parentheses, reading, "Warning for those who need it. Discussion of rape scenes in storytelling." That's it. That poor baby. I find the crying over trigger warnings to be particularly ironic in this new trend of complaining about complaining. This guy spewed out 73 words in response to a 12-word sentence that he felt he was forced to read against his will. And it's a tough problem because the only way to help this poor man is to have trigger warnings for trigger warnings, but that's self-defeating. It's like having a phobia of therapists. There's just no way to fix it. Meanwhile, elsewhere on IO9, there are tons of articles that literally have redacted in the headline because they don't want to spoil things for people who haven't seen the new Star Wars movie. And weirdly, nowhere in the comments for those articles could I find this guy complaining about this literal example of self-censorship. It's really strange to me why a content warning is a horrible breach of freedom in one case, and in another case, not even worthy of mention. I think that there's only one solution. Well, there's two solutions. One solution would be for people like this guy to lighten the fuck up about trigger warnings because it's not a big deal. But number two would be to encourage people like him to drop the hypocrisy. Let's boycott all content warnings. So I'm talking trigger warnings, spoiler alerts, packages of crackers that say they may contain nuts, those signs telling construction workers to not dig because of sewage lines, boxes that say caution live snakes inside. Let's boycott all of them. Protect our freedoms.